don't tell you until the home is sold. Welcome behind the Sold Side podcast. I am Joe Ramirez, your realtor, and today we're talking about the truth. Buyers and sellers find out and learn too late. So let's talk about it. So, when you start the process of buying or selling your home, you go under contract, and that's when a lot of buyers and sellers think that's it. Deal is done. They have an offer, it's accepted, and we go to the closing table. You get your money or you get your house. And there is a whole ton of things that happen in between the time you buy or the time you sell, right? To get you to the closing table, to get your check or to get your keys. And that's what we're talking about today. Now, this matters more than you think. There's a common misconception, right? Most people think the hard part is either finding the right home or getting your home sold. The reality is the problems start as soon as you go under contract. This is where the majority of the deals actually start to fall apart. This is where thousands of dollars are either lost or gained, and when the emotions run the highest. So, in today's talk, I'm going to break down exactly what happens between the time you go under contract and the time you go to the closing table. Now, the first step after you sign the dotted line is you go into what is called escrow. All right. So you go into escrow, the buyer puts some earnest money down, okay, and you lock in that. Now, the next step is the biggest step, I think, probably in the process, and that is the inspection. All right. This is a real story no one tells you about. It's not a pass or fail kind of thing, right? Inspections are there to give the buyer knowledge of the property, right? And if there's repairs to be made, that is where you get your repair list from. You sellers are going to look at that and say, okay, I can fix this or I can fix that. Now, it's not a pass or fail. Every home has their issues. I don't care if you're buying a brand new home right from the builder, those homes are going to have issues. I run into it all the time. You know, a couple years back, there was a whole AC that was not even put onto the property. Okay. And this is a brand new home, new build. All right. So all homes have issues. That's why inspections are important. Okay. Expectations matter the most. Deals fall apart when expectations are wrong. Okay. Not because of the house of itself, but understanding the difference is definitely critical. Okay. So you have to manage your expectations. Buyers, if you're buying an older home, you need to understand there's going to be issues, right? Like I said, I don't care if you're buying a new home or an older home, but in those older homes, there's some issues in there. There's underlying issues with the property that the seller may not even know about. Okay. And for you sellers, all right, you need to make sure you understand this is the buyer's inspection. This is their time to look through everything. And if something's wrong in their eyes, it's wrong. Okay. So understand that this is not for the seller, it's not calling you out or anything. It's just anytime you buy something, you want to make sure you're getting that it works, right? That this house is good. So understand the inspections, right, is where you're going to get all of those repairs at. Okay. So if something wrong with the house, you don't like the color of a wall or the plumbing is messed up. This is the time where you buyers, you need to make sure you are writing all that stuff down, and sellers be open to that idea. Okay. So what don't buyers expect during the inspection periods? Well, especially for first time home buyers, all right, they're a little shocked when they get that first inspection report. Now, these docs can be up to 40 to 60 pages, depending on the home. And a lot of it's in technical language and red flag terminology that may seem alarming to most home buyers. Okay. So the report is going to be lengthy, but it's going to be detailed. So it's going to, even if you don't understand the words, okay, that's when you go back to your inspector and say, hey, what does this mean? I don't know what a TPV valve is. What is that? Okay. So that's why you're there. That's why you're supposed to walk through it. Now, if you're a real estate agent and the inspector are not walking you through that and you don't understand anything, let them know. But if they don't walk you through it, I'm telling you right now, just get someone else. All right. Get someone else. Okay. Now, end of life language, right, is phased, right, like end of service. So if you see something that says end of service, that means it's probably time to get a new AC or time to get a new water heater. Okay. Next one is repair negotiations. It's a back and forth process, right? Obviously, you're going to present the seller for you buyers out there with, hey, these are the things I need to get fixed, right? So before you go into those negotiations, know your top priorities, okay? Because these are the deal breaker inside the deal. You need to know, okay, if they don't fix the water heater and I need hot water because I have a condition or something like that, then that's where you got to walk away if they don't want to fix it. Because you don't want to go in there and basically walk in and not have hot water. Okay. So if that's an issue for you, if you don't have an uncle that's a plumber, or you don't know anything about it, or you don't have any money left over for these must need repairs, you need to know that. I like to call it my punch list. All right. I always give my clients, say, what are your must haves? What needs to be done? Or what is something we can do a seller credit on, or something you feel pretty confident in you can do yourself. Now, understanding repairs versus credits. All right. Repairs versus credits and your options at this point, right? So seller can do all the repairs you ask. There's always about 4 options, okay? Seller can do all the repairs you ask. They give you a buyer credit, so whatever the market value is to replace that certain item. Or they can do a little bit of both. Give you some credit on some and, repair other stuff. Or they can give you number 4, which is they tell you to kick rocks and get out of here, okay? So again, you need to know exactly what is your must-haves in your home that you need to be there, that you need to live. And for you sellers out there, you need to understand that. So that's why it's important you have an agent, real estate agent, realtor that can talk to the other side, right? If you don't have a strong negotiator in the middle there working together for you, the best interest, you could lose out on that deal because you're not repairing what the buyer wants. So they could just walk away from the table. Now remember, you have 10 days here in Arizona to get your home inspected. After those 10 days, and you can walk away for, whatever reason. You don't like the color of the wall, you don't like the plumbing, whatever it is, at those 10 days, you can walk away and still get your earnest money back. Now, after those 10 days, unless the seller does not agree to fix anything, right, that you need, you can still walk away with your earnest money. But after the seller agrees and they lock it in, then they will take your earnest money from you if you walk away from the deal. That's why they have the earnest money. Now, credits for the seller. Not everybody's handy, not everybody has time to fix things and they want to sell their house. So sellers can give credits, right? And as long as the buyer has someone that can fix it or they have an agent, right, that can make a few calls and say, hey, I need some help with this. Can you help me out? If they give me a credit, good. Credits and repairs work really well. So remember that. You need to make sure you set expectations. Hey, these are the things I need to get fixed prior to moving in, and these are the things I can take a credit for, and these are things I kind of wish I had, right? But I can really do without if I need to. Okay. Things like I said, especially in Arizona, I always hit the AC and I hit the roofs because monsoons are crazy, and you need an AC in the summer. So those are 2 things I always say. Hey, let's try to get those repaired, or at least get enough credit from the sellers, or have the sellers give that enough credit to keep the buyer engaged. And for you buyers out there, always make sure you get those, especially out here. Okay. Now, what can you do? Let's say the seller does just want to give you credits. So what can you do? What does that really mean? Well, the credits can go a lot of different ways, right? They can give you $4,000 worth of credits, and you can use that for your down payment. You can use that to, buy your rate down, or you can have your agent and you schedule, right, certain workers, and they can be paid outside of the deal. So basically, you go to title writes the check to, Joe's plumber to fix the plumbing, or Joe's roofing company, right? They write him a check right there, goes to them, they start working on your home. Okay. A lot of different things you can do with those credits. Now, it really just depends on what you as a buyer need. Okay. So, and for you sellers out there, you give the credits. That's pretty much it for that. Okay. And you can kind of walk away. Now, again, this is where emotions come into play. So, what is your top needs? All right. Remember that, buyers. What is your top needs? Don't let emotion take over. Okay. Next thing that buyers and sellers get caught into is the appraisal. Okay, so every home needs to be appraised.